Awesome. So good morning and good afternoon, folks. My name is Carlos Talbot. I'm a sales engineer at HYCU. I've been in the backup space now for over a decade, working at several backup vendors and manufacturers. And my background has always been, data resiliency protection for storage. So there's a lot of key aspects in there, right? Compute, networking, and storage, all components that I've had a lot of experience with. At HYCU, though, I work with customers in the central and northeast regions, focusing on POCs, providing solutions that address data protection challenges that they might face from their journey into the cloud. So they could be backing up on-prem, but they might be also wanting to protect natively AWS resources as well. So all those discussions are a topic of mind for our customers, as well as, ransomware protection and security. Those are the biggest ones that we hear about from today. So today we're going to talk about improving data protection and resiliency for AWS using a fully managed data protection as a service solution from HYCU that provides backup recovery and ransomware protection. So here's a little bit of view of the agenda for today. We're going to start with the shared responsibility model, which I believe most of you probably are familiar with. Talk about what's needed in a cloud native solution, how HYCU Protege addresses some of those challenges, and what type of use cases we see out there. And then I'll wrap it up with a promotion for our free managed backup for AWS. It's a nice little utility to actually get your feet wet with the HYCU solution without committing to any subscription or anything like that, but giving a feel for how the UI works and how the product is managed. So when you think about the market today, of over 60% of corporate data is stored in the cloud, which is, is a lot of data, with AWS being probably the most popular choices. But organizations are getting hit with ransomware every 12 seconds. So question is your data 100% secure? AWS, like many cloud providers, operate with a shared responsibility model. So it's not just concerned about ransomware on-prem, but also potentially in the cloud, right? So when you look at the concerns about ransomware, without the right data protection solution, this could leave your organization open to a ransomware attack. So resulting in data loss, extended downtime, potentially costing your organization thousands in lost revenue. So when we want to talk about the shared responsibility model, we want to clear some myths here about backups. Myth number one, data on AWS is automatically backed up. That's true to an extent, but when you think about scenarios of logical corruption, human error, it's a shared responsibility because you're managing that data, you're securing it, you're providing security resources around it, and you want to also back it up and protect it. Especially now that you have issues around or concerns around ransomware proliferation. So reality is cloud is highly available, but bad actors, accidents, nature, human error are all common problems and challenges that people face today that need to be addressed with a fully built SaaS solution for data protection. Also, there's compliance requirements, being able to tier your data from EBS snapshots to S3 buckets or even Glacier buckets for long-term archiving, multi-year retention for compliance reasons, and also being able to protect from bad actors, because if they're both inside and outside, right? And be able to protect from those ransomware incidents. Okay. Now we think about the shared responsibility model stack. If we start with the on-prem environment, right? We're looking at what is it that you manage, and you think about the whole stack from the bottom, the physical resources like the server, storage, and compute, all the way up to the virtual machine operating system, the hypervisor, the operating system, the application, having to manage patches, upgrades, and then ultimately back up that data. So you are responsible for the entire stack. And as customers have gone and start their journey into the cloud, particularly with AWS, leveraging infrastructure as a service with EC2 instances, some of those responsibilities have been shifted over to the cloud provider, right? So you no longer have to worry about physical issues with the storage, with the networking, all that's provided for you. You still have to manage your data and your access and your applications, right? So, and then as you go further up in the stack, you look at platforms as a service using SQL in the cloud, for example, right? And not having to rely on EC2. Well, one common feature, one common denominator across all three stacks, though, is that you still have to manage your data and applications. So you have to provide some sort of backup for that, right? Even if you're looking at pure SaaS with other solutions, like Salesforce, Bamboo HR, and others, there's a unique data that the organization still generates within those ecosystems. They need to be able to back that up and protect it and recover it in some examples as well, right? So shared responsibility is critical. So when you design a solution that provides native cloud backup solutions, ideally it should be a truly SaaS delivery. There should be no installation of software, upgrades, maintenance patches. The end user should be able to leverage that data protection SaaS, just like they leverage EC2 and other RDS solutions within AWS. And it should be cloud native, meaning I should be able to have elasticity, just like with AWS. So if I'm backing up or protecting 100 VMs or 100 databases RDS, and later I want to go to thousands of them, the solution needs to scale accordingly for that, right? And then also being able to integrate with DevOps teams and native solutions, being able to leverage Terraform, Ansible, and use native snapshots and inherit identity access management within that DevOps team as well. And then finally, having complete visibility, because I need one single pane. I want to see one single pane of glass for compliance. I want to be able to view and manage all my operations, regardless of whether it's on-prem or in the cloud, right? Having that single pane of glass is key. So when you look at HYCU Protege, it was founded on a notion that there is a better, more effective way to protect your mission-critical data. And we built HYCU Protege to do just that. It's a SaaS platform that unifies data protection for hybrid and multi-cloud environments, providing businesses with a simple way to see, manage, and protect the mission-critical data within your hybrid and multi-cloud environment. Now, with HYCU Protege, customers gain access to a comprehensive suite of data protection capabilities, whether it's disaster recovery, backup recovery, ransomware protection, or cost-effective DR to the cloud. Like a lot of customers today, for example, might have an on-prem environment, but they're moving out of their colo and they want to leverage a public cloud vendor as a DR target. And we help facilitate that. Our solution makes it very easy for customers to spin up VMs in as an EC2 instance that was originally an on-prem resource. So HYCU Protege can handle all that for the customer. And you're probably thinking, sounds great, but we've heard this before and it didn't turn out the way that they said it would. What's different about you, right? And we get it. Vendors are saying the same things, but even when it isn't true, it's hard to sift through the noise, okay? Now, when we think about the use cases, number one, backing up NDR to AWS, going back to my discussion about using not having a colo. So I'm backing up on-prem workloads. I'm sending into an S3 bucket, or another use case, backing up NDR in AWS native instances. Maybe I want to protect my EC2 instances, my RDS databases, but I also want to replicate them to other regions for cross-regional disaster recovery. Those are the two common use cases that we typically see with our customers. So the first one, I can leverage my backups, both snapshot incrementals and deep archiving to Glacier, for example. But I also want to be able to application consistency because I'm backing up my databases like SQL or Oracle, and I want to be able to do, transactional level recovery of those databases, but also files. Some cloud native solutions for data protection can only do VM level recovery. I want to go back down to that single file in that server. So we offer that ability. And that the ability to send it to S3 fulfills that common rule 3-2-1, right? 3 copies of your data, 2 different formats, one off-site, and that copy in S3 bucket is that one off-site. And then finally, leveraging S3 immutable storage within AWS for ransomware protection. And then lastly, being able to, I mentioned failing over to AWS, being able to spin up an instance into EC2, but also being able to fail back. A lot of solutions don't offer that ability to bring it back on-prem, because we do see that happen today with customers, right? So the differentiators are being able to have zero management overhead, because we're not relying on patches, software upgrades when we're dealing with true SaaS solution, because it's purpose built for both on-prem and the public cloud. We don't deal with agents, both for virtual machines and even physical servers on-prem, because we're using a patented discovery to find out what's running on that server that we want to back up. Very simple self-service recovery with a self-service portal, with role-based authentication. All that is integrated in there. So at the end of the day, you're reducing your total cost of ownership in terms of infrastructure, time, resources, and freeing up admins to do other more productive work, right? And design with simplicity and self-service. And that simplicity helps, especially when security is, because complexity is a challenge for security, right? And obviously providing cyber resiliency, because you can do rapid restores, being able to back up and recover from immutable storage as well, right? And then the other use case, protecting AWS instances natively. And today, all the hyperscalers have native components, but they are limited in some of their capabilities. We can offer the ability to actually not just provide snapshots and recovering from image level backups, but also doing file level recovery, application level recovery, being able to tier to lower cost storage like Glacier, and then bring that data back on-prem. If you want to migrate that workload for some reason, for a batch migration, for DevOps testing, we fully support that. So again, it goes back to the whole idea of a single pane of glass for AWS instances with cross-account visibility, fully SaaS integrated as well. No management, with elastic scaling and no scripts required, right? We do offer a RESTful API at the back end for all of our solutions. So DevOps teams that want to integrate with that or use Terraform and Ansible is something that is available as well. At the end of the day, it's about saving time and resources spent managing scripts and using independent operations. Now, if we look at the architecture for HYCU for AWS, this is where we stand. There's a lot of advantages here, because it supports all AWS regions and discovers all resource groups. Some solutions out there are limited to regions, but every single region in AWS, whether we're talking about Americas, EMEA, APAC, we fully support. We can back up natively EC2 instances, RDS instances as well, and even back up and replicate S3 buckets. A lot of customers want to be able to replicate their S3 data. We fully support that. And having that single integration with the on-prem resources as well, if you want to leverage AWS as your colo for disaster recovery migration as well. Now, we talked about the fact that AWS, our solution for AWS is cloud native. So it's very storage efficient. We're always using incrementals forever, deduping those backups through S3 with auto tiering. So either if you're going from hot to cold, infrequent, and to Glacier, we fully support all that lifecycle policy. And being able to recover rapidly, not just recovering that whole VM, but I can recover a file, a virtual disk, and do that across multiple regions, across different AWS accounts. And there's no performance penalty because we're not using any agents at all, and it's fully covered by ransomware protection. And again, talking about operational efficiency, reducing the time and effort that the DevOps team is working to manage your data protection environment, using IAM integration and a multi-tenancy with resource groups. We fully support that. And then, as I mentioned before, it's all about automation, relieving admins from manual tasks, because it's a policy-based engine that you decide, I want to back up these VMs, these S3 buckets, and my RPO is this, my RTO is that, and the engine will take care of that for you. So at the end of the day, it's all about peace of mind. I didn't mention until now, but HYCU has an NPS score of 91, which is pretty high for the data protection backup space. And it's all about customers liking our product, endorsing it, and supporting, and liking our support as well, because we have a very solid support team. And again, going back to cross-cloud mobility, being able to accelerate your dev test environment, because I can protect workloads on-prem, but I want to migrate, lift and shift that into AWS. I can do that very easily by cloning VMs, by recovering them into that EC2 native instance, and being able to leverage cross-regional disaster recovery, as well as not just on-prem. So very granular and efficient support of across sites. So in summary, the differentiators for HYCU Protege for AWS, what are differentiators? We're a true data protection as a service solution. There's no software installation. There's no management or upgrades of software within the product. It's truly elastic. It's air gap backups, leveraging native AWS S3 immutable storage to prevent unauthorized access or prevent inside protection as well as outside from bad actors trying to delete your data. Completely agentless, no need for, I should say AWS, I apologize for that. And then being a true native solution. It doesn't use AWS VMs based snapshots, but inherits IAMs and resource groups. Now, one thing I wanted to mention too as well, we do have a free solution. So you can try out the solution using our, it's in the marketplace and it gives you a feel for our UI. And this is a screenshot with that solution. You can do a policy-based management using free snapshots for AWS EC2 instances. It leverages your existing IAM resources and resource groups and the ability to do disaster recovery, and gives you visibility across multiple accounts as well. And so you have complete data sovereignty and privacy as well. So I can go in there, once you log in, give your credentials and your IAM resources, it'll discover all the instances available inside that subscription. We can then assign it to a policy, whether we're doing snapshots every couple hours or once a day. It automatically will manage that for you, so there's no more manual intervention when it comes to data protection. There's no scripts. And it comes to recovering, it's very easy to restore the entire VM. I can clone the VM, or I can even do single file level recovery of the VM as well. So if there's interest in that, just click on this QR code, and that'll get you to the HYCU Protege free AWS trial license.